Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
I am that dude, Bodkins.
If DP lost like, deep. Yeah.
Right. When he's wondering, he's like, I can't.
Patty. One style, like no weight classes.
Yeah, basically, like I said, there's been a couple guys that are like,
it's ridiculous. No way. There's nobody else out there. He's your guy.
That's just not my mentality, bro. Like,
yeah. Leave the ladder down. That's my always like, hey, somebody helped you out. Why not help somebody else out? Return.
Give a big round of applause for the one and only Bodkins Show.
Or bringing Craig Counsell down the interstate in a move unexpected. I had people.
I'm going to repeat that again, folks. I didn't stutter. Welcome to the Bodkins Show.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another great Bodkins Show. I'm your host, Bodkins. It is NFL Week 9 is about to conclude. Obviously, all the early games, the slate games, have all concluded. Right now, it's the Rams just walk it off on a walk-off touchdown to get to 500. Man, what a wild week. Coaches are going to be, on the hot seat, Johnny. Dennis Allen, the Saints losing to the Panthers. Mike McCarthy from the Cowboys. There's going to be a lot of talk, a lot of loud talk, both fan bases. We might be seeing. When it comes to the Cowboys, I don't see Jerry firing Mike. He's a dead man walking. I don't really see the Saints firing Dennis Allen in season. Now, both are probably gone at the end of the year. Man, what a wild day in the NFL again. Yeah, Doug Peterson. And really,
I was just about to say Doug Peterson. You're thinking right there with me, Rob.
Sirianni would have got bailed out in that game by a bad interception by Trevor Lawrence. That game was there. You know what I mean? Like the Jags had a chance. I saw a thing. They flashed it up. The Jags have lost more games by 1 to 5 points than any team in the league.
Yeah, that sounds about right. They seem to not come through and make the play that's needed to be made at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And today was a perfect example. They had an opportunity there at the end, and Trevor Lawrence basically throws it up for grabs to his third, his number 3 running back. You know what I'm saying? So it's not even like it was Travis Etienne or
wasn't even a good chance to throw. Like you know what I mean? Like it was just overthrown him. I mean, it was more to the corner.
Yeah. He basically just threw it up to him like if he was a 6'3" receiver. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't no type of back shoulder, nothing. He just threw it up for grabs and you know what I'm saying, to lose a game like that when your team actually gave you an opportunity was just it was horrible play from Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's been doing that pretty much all year. Couple interceptions today as well. So, yeah, man, a lot of coaches is you know what I'm saying, got some hot seats going on right now. I'm with you though. I don't think anything happens in season. There still is a lot of season left to go. So God only knows what happens over the next few weeks if teams continue to stumble. But for the most part, I think we'll make it to the end of the season, but at the trajectory that we're going right now, there's probably going to be at least 3 or 4 vacancies after this season, man.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is a bust. Let me ask you this, Johnny. Does the league have – because, so many young quarterbacks are coming into this league. Everyone's like, oh, the league they're not bust, or the league has, aren't developing, a developmental problem. I don't really feel like the league has a developmental problem. I think a couple things because we've seen a couple people be benched at young ages. Mac Jones, Richardson. We're seeing Trevor Lawrence kind of go through it. We're seeing all these guys, all these young guys kind of get benched. Bryce Young had got benched. I don't really feel like we're not developing. First of all, every team seems to draft the guy and they want to play him right off the bat. First of all, that should You're already on bad teams. If you're a top 5 pick, guess what? You're not going to the best situation. You're going to a bad team. They're bad teams. So then what happens is it's not really developed. It's a lot. It's a little bit of everything, the player and the organization. And Carlos is exactly right. You're not developing them. You're rushing them out there on a bad team. Then you fire the coach. Then you bring in a new coach, new organization, new thing. But most importantly, this is it right here to me is college football is not enough for NFL development. It's two totally different brands of football. In the college football, they're not ever behind center. It's spread out. It's not, 90% of colleges go to this route. So they're not really developed when they're coming into the league, much less when playing in this league as well. So I disagree. I don't think QBs need to play, Carlos. I think you need to build a team, let them sit for a year. Maybe because that works for the Green Bay Packers, seemingly for the most part. So I kind of subscribe to that notion. Now, I do think it's a different situation. You evaluate, does the rookie quarterback make you a better whichever start if you have a starter going? Like if you were the Vikings this year, the way Sam Darnold's playing, there's no way you'd want JJ McCarthy to play, right? Like I don't think he's going to play any better. It's teams, but we also got to remember these kids are going to shit ass teams.
Yeah, I think two things can be true at the same time. I think there is a bit of a developmental problem in the league, and part of it could be due to the fact, like you're mentioning, they're throwing these kids out there right away, and not giving them the opportunity to kind of sit and learn. I'm with you as far as the mentality of letting a quarterback sit and learn for a little bit, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, as far as Trevor Lawrence, he's had every opportunity, and he just has played like shit when it comes down to crunch time. You know what I'm saying? So he had the one playoff win against, the Chargers and Justin Herbert, and that was more the Chargers kind of imploding because he had a horrible first half, that one. But I think Carlos hit it on the head as far as, the college football game is a completely different game. It is a lot of, spread, wide open type offenses, always in the shotgun.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So although a lot of NFL teams are starting to implement that type of offense into their playbooks, but at the same time, I think it's by organization, and there's some that set up their quarterbacks to be successful. You mentioned your Packers, drafting a quarterback early, letting them sit for a couple years. I think actually what Chicago wound up doing for Caleb Williams this year was good as far as all the talent that they put around him to start off with. Obviously, he didn't play that great today, and that offensive line is kind of horrible looking. But I think it all depends on the organization as well. There's some organizations that they don't build it right to be able to complement a young quarterback. So you kind of just throwing them to the wolves, and if you don't give them enough protection on the offensive line, enough skill players.
Yeah, a lot of times it's bad O-line play. Like they got all that's the Bears' problem. They build it from the outside in. The outside. Let's get all these kids, all this talent. Well, it doesn't help him if you can't fucking protect him.
Right. Yeah, because he's constantly running for his life. So it's a good thing that he's mobile the way he is, or he'd be in a lot of trouble. But I think it's by a case by case basis. But I'm with you. I'm with the mentality of, if you have the opportunity to let your quarterback sit, even if it's for half a year or whatever, but if you can bring a placeholder that can function properly, don't bring in some scrub that after 2-3 weeks you're gonna be like, oh my God, we got to put the kid in because this guy's horrible. But if you bring in somebody that's efficient enough to run your offense and give you an opportunity to win games, then it'll buy you more time with the young quarterback. But there's so much money in this league nowadays, so they feel like they have to throw the quarterback in there.
Yeah, and sometimes these organizations overvalue the young quarterback. I mean, look at the 49ers and Trey Lance, for example. Like, it's 4 or 5 years later, and Trey Lance is nowhere near starting. Like, they overvalued him, and they took the wrong guy. Like, you know what I mean? That's not Trey Lance's fault that he was benched. It's you know what I mean? Like,
I'm completely with you on that one. I mean, and just the evaluation process, coming out of college, You know what I'm saying? Like he played one game in like a 2-year span with COVID and all that stuff, and you still trade 3 first-round picks or whatever to the Dolphins to move up to number 3 to get him. So it's just like I understand you.
Anthony Richardson, the kid's never played. He's played 8 games in college or some shit like.
Right, and they fall in love with these mobile quarterbacks that can run and that have a strong arm.
He can throw it a fucking mile, but he can't hit. He can't hit a fucking. He can't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
Yeah, like I'm with you on that one, and that's to me that's always the main thing is accuracy and being able to read the defense as quickly as possible. Progressing in your reads. I think are the 2 top things. Yes, you want a quarterback to have a strong arm. That's helpful. If he's mobile, that's also a benefit, but that can't be like the number 1 and 2. It can't be, okay, well, our number 1 thing is we need a mobile quarterback. Number 2 is we need him to have a strong arm. And then if he happens to be accurate, cool. If he can read a defense, cool. No, those 2 need to be the main ones. You know what I'm saying? He needs to be accurate and be able to read a defense. If he happens to be mobile as well, cool.
To me, the number 1 thing is, can he lead a team? You know what I mean?
Right.
Can he be a leader? You know what I mean?
Right. And how does he do under pressure?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's another thing too, is you know what I'm saying? I mean, for a lot of stuff that, a lot of shit that Denver was kind of getting for the Bo Nix pickup. Yeah, he didn't play all that great today, didn't win today, but for the most part, he's got all the experience. He had, 4 years of starting experience in college. So he seems to be fairly comfortable. You're saying in that Sean Payton offense, and you have a coach who is quarterback friendly with his offense. So I think the situation, has to be right as well. But again, my thinking is you either sit the quarterback, or if you're going to start a young quarterback or rookie quarterback, then you want to establish that offensive line. You want to make sure you have a running game to help him out as well. So, and a lot of teams ain't doing that. A lot of teams are just throwing the quarterback in there and figure if we got him a couple good wide receivers, he'll be fine.
You need
the old line, right?
Yeah. What's the plan, and how are we going to help coach this kid up? That's what when they draft a kid. What's the plan here? We're going to draft him. How are we going to develop him? Well, how are we going to make sure that he is successful? Because especially as a general manager, his success, my success is now tied to him, and his success is now tied to me. So we got to what's the plan? We can't just look at tomorrow. We got to play chess. We got to look 4 or 5 years, 3-4 years, weeks down the road, months down the road. How are we going to get better?
That could also be the problem with a lot of the GM's mindset, is that they don't think that they have 2, 3, 4 years. It's almost like they got to get it done now. So instead of having the mindset of, all right, we're drafting a rookie, so our focus can't be that we're going to compete this same year for a title. You know what I'm saying? So build it up properly, make sure you get some good offensive linemen and start building it up slowly that way. You know what I'm saying? Basically the first year, if you're not going to sit them the whole year, look at the first year as a kind of a redshirt type year. But your organization has to be behind you. Your owner has to be behind you in that mindset as well. And then you got to have an owner that's going to believe in the GM and the head coach and not step in like the Carolina dude did and decide, no, I want this quarterback, and you're going to draft this quarterback, and then you're going to fire the coach when the quarterback is playing like shit after a few weeks, when you're the one that wanted that quarterback. So the organization that you go to has a lot to do with the success or failure of a young quarterback.
The culture that you go to,
right?
Culture,
absolutely, absolutely.
Let's get into it. I mentioned fired head coaches off the top, and Dennis Allen may find his way, not back in New Orleans. They've lost their 7th straight game. Started off 2-0. We were saying, hey man, this Saints team looks good after 2 weeks. Well, they ain't won a game since. 7 straight losses. 22-23. Derek Carr. And his number 1 fan, if you missed it, folks.
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas had a lot to say about Mr. Derek Carr today. Let me read some of these tweets real quick before we get into this stat line. Dude tried to lie and say I was jealous of them making Chris wide receiver 1. Whole time he can't even get him a decent ball. He needs his ass whooped. Dude, scary and panic. Just throw the ball. Get him the F out of here. Derek Carr, for you, I've been told y'all shit sad. And then he puts up a middle finger emoji. So Michael Thomas sounded like a scorned ex-lover. But I mean, he was piling it in on the Saints. They lose 22-21. Derek Carr, 18-31, 236 yards, 1 touchdown. Olave goes out with a concussion. 29 carries for Alvin Kamara, 155 yards. Not much else for the Saints. 6 for C. You get into the Panthers here. Second win of the season. They get to 2-7. Bryce Young, we just mentioned, struggling young quarterbacks, 16-26, 171 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Chuba Hubbard had 15 for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jatavion Sanders, 4 for 87. And Leggett had a touchdown as well. Johnny, your thoughts on the Saints and the drama that is. I know that the Carolina just got it, this head coach, but I don't think he's the right guy. I don't think their general manager is the right guy. The Saints are definitely they need a clean house.
Well, as far as Carolina, I mean, this is the example that we're talking about, throwing the young quarterbacks into the fire right away. Bryce Young looked completely lost last year. He looked completely lost the first few games. This year, they sat him for a few weeks. He's been in the last couple weeks and has looked better. I mean, he doesn't look great. He doesn't look like the number one overall pick, but he does look like he seems to be progressing. So that's what you want in a young quarterback. It's just all the pressure that was on him because he was the first overall pick. The Panthers traded up to get him. I'm not ready to say that this coach ain't it because you know what I'm saying. I mean, there's only so much. They don't really have much talent though, bro. If you really look at that Carolina Panthers team, right? I'm with you on that one there. But they gave up so many.
Dan Morgan.
Right. They made yeah. Well, I mean, I loved him as a player. I'm not worried about what he's doing now as an executive, you know what I'm saying? But they gave up so many assets to move up to number 1 that, you know what I'm saying, all those picks that they could have had to kind of help out with this team.
That set him back.
Yeah, it definitely did. But Bryce Young looked a little bit better today, made some plays down the stretch there to help them win a ball game. As far as New Orleans, I mean, I know you mentioned the scorned ex-lover with Mike Thomas and all his tweets, but this has been something that has been said about Derek Carr as far as him being scared in the pocket and just throwing it up since he was a Raider. After he broke his leg that year, that he looked like he was an MVP candidate. I don't think he's been the same. Yeah, he'll have some good games like the first 2 weeks of this season where he put up some ridiculous numbers because they were putting up hella points the first 2 weeks. But these last 7 weeks have just looked horrible. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dennis Allen is the one and done after this season. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, Dennis Allen probably should go. Wow, more clarification on that game real quick. This is how bad this is how historic the Saints were today. Saints outgained the Panthers by 150 yards, ran for 150 plus yards, and won the turnover battle. Over the last 20 years, teams had gone 275-0 with that formula. Now 275-1.
That's not the type of history you want to make as a New Orleans Saints head coach or the quarterback. So it was
I mean, he's been there. What? This is Dennis Allen's second or third year. I think
is it his second or third year? Yeah, actually,
3 years. This is third year.
Yeah, actually, it has been a couple years now. I mean, we were questioning when he got the job. You know,
I mean, we were questioning it because he was Sean Payton's right-hand man, and
we questioned it then. We thought that they should have just kind of reset the whole thing. They decided to kind of just patch it together and keep it going. Signed Derek Carr to a big contract last offseason. And it's not looking good, man. You know, 7 losses in a row. Atlanta's, winning some games, so they're starting to put some distance between them and the rest of the division. We'll see what happens tomorrow night with Tampa Bay. But, both those teams, New Orleans and Carolina, are in for a long season, man.
Yeah, but both those seasons are over. You know, one guy that doesn't meet the criteria of maybe a rookie who's struggling, and that's Mr. Jaden Daniels. He has come in and he has lit the league on fire. There's reports today that veteran players are saying, "Hey, trade me to Washington." So that speaks to something, right? They want to go play for Dan Quinn. They want to go play with this young kid. He had a heck of a game again today. 15 of 22, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns. No Brian Robertson Jr. He was hurt, but Chris Rodriguez steps in with 11 carries, 52 yards. Austin Eckler, 11 for 42. Noah Brown, 5 for 60. Terry McLaurin, 2 catches, 19 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The Giants, Daniel Jones at halftime had 0 passing yards and 1 touchdown. In the second half, he did get 172 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tyrone Tracy, 16 for 66. DJ also ran in for a yard. I mean, the Giants, I like Brian Daboll, but their owner had come out and said, in which I don't understand, and we might have talked about this already, but their owner, I don't know if you heard, was on something, was like, hey, I'm not firing these guys. How do you not fire your general manager after the whole Saquon Barkley thing? I don't know how you go and say, you know what, we're not going to fire him after we all watched on Hard Knocks and all that shit.
Yeah, we did touch on this a little bit when that report happened, when he came out with those comments, and again, we got to remember there's been history of owners giving their coaches the vote of confidence mid-season, and then at the end of the season, they want to fire them anyway. I'm still gonna say what I said the last time we talked about this. I think Mara was just trying to save face. I think he knew that they weren't going to re-sign Saquon Barkley, but he just wanted to make it seem like, oh, well, no, I love Saquon Barkley. I want it, you know what I'm saying? But I think he knew that was their plan. I mean, and for all the people shitting on Daniel Jones, I mean, he played a good game today. You know what I'm saying? He ran for a touchdown. I mean, he didn't play a horrible game. That fumble was a horrible fumble, but I mean, he was trying to get into a throwing motion. The ball got knocked out of his hand. I mean, I'm just saying, is he great? No. You know what I'm saying? He's not a horrible quarterback though, but he just seems to, I don't know, he just can't get it done.
He ain't winning you a Super Bowl.
Right. No. He just seems to not be able to come through when they desperately need him, but that's a bad situation there. I don't know. They seem to like Brian Daboll there, so I don't know what's going to happen there. I like Daboll,
but man, at 2-7,
it's just a really it's a really bad look.
Flip it to the other side though. Give Dan Quinn, lock him up as coach of the year. Like Jaden Daniels, lock it up as rookie of the year. Like, I mean, unless something happens the second half of the season, but they just keep getting better and better, I feel like, each week.
Yeah, he's off to a great start. Jaden Daniels is, Heisman Trophy winner. The moment doesn't seem to be too big for him or too fast for him. You know what I'm saying? He plays at his own pace. He's obviously got the legs and able to escape when he needs to escape. I'm glad they're not running. I know he's got bruised ribs, but I'm glad they're not running so many design quarterback run plays, but he still scrambles when he needs to and gets those yards when he needs to. But he just seems so calm in the pocket, bro. Like nothing's phasing him, man. And that's what you want. That's what you want in your quarterback.
He can make every throw. He can make it.
Yeah. So he has everything that we would talk about Anthony Richardson, plus he's accurate and he can read the defense. You know what I'm saying? So he has a good arm. He can run. He's accurate. He's calm in the pocket. He can read the defense. And they did a good job of putting pieces around him too. Austin Eckler was a good find. That's a great safety valve to have, is a reliable back that can catch the ball. They got a good offensive line in Washington. They had Scary Terry already. You know what I'm saying? So and they got rid of a wide receiver because he wasn't, meshing well with them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I like what Washington's doing. I was questioning the Dan Quinn hire, to be completely honest, but props to him. They're doing a great job there. And what is it, 7-2?
Yeah.
So good for Washington, man. I think they're going to be battling with Philly to win that division. So it's going to be interesting to see, man. I'm happy for that kid.
Me too. I'm happy for the Commanders and that fan base. Like, go ahead and win.
Especially after all that Dan Snyder shit they had to deal with for so long. I'm glad Terry McLaurin has a good quarterback to finally play with, because he's been playing with some scrubs the last several years.
His whole career.
His whole career. So you're saying he's having a nice season. Had a couple touchdown catches today. I'm happy for the Commanders and their fans.
Let's get into your Dolphins. They lose 27 or 30. Big Tyler Bass boots one at the end. It was like a 50-some-odd yarder, Johnny.
61 yards.
61, even more. And this was after he's missed an extra point, almost missed another extra point. But 61-yarder goes through. Bills win 30-27. To a better game this week than last week. 25-28, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chain 12 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek 4 for 80. Jalen Waddle did get hurt in this game. Did he come back in? I didn't see. John,
he wound up coming back in. He wound up one of the defensive players kind of spiked him on his calf or whatever. So he had a cut on his calf or whatever, but it wasn't nothing.
Yeah, he had 2 receptions for -4 yards, but did have a touchdown. So that's
he had for -4 yards because that last play of the game he decided to run backwards 27 yards or some shit like that, which was ridiculous. They were trying to make a last second play or whatever on that last drive. It was just, of course, homeboy hits a 61-yard, and it probably would have been good from 71. It was just like perfectly hit right down the middle. I don't understand. I'm not the biggest guy on the whole freezing of the kicker thing, but you got 2 timeouts. Why not use one? But instead, this kid, again, like you mentioned, missed an extra point, hit the upright on another one, had been shaky with field goals all season, and then he hits a 61-yarder to win it perfectly down the middle. And again, he probably would have hit it from 68. It was so well struck. So the Dolphins just found another way to lose a game 2 weeks.
I declared the Dolphin season over last week. Are you on that? Or are you on that same sentiment?
I'm pretty much there with you. They would have to go on a 9-1, 10-0 type run right now. I don't know. The way the AFC is going, 10 wins might make a playoff spot. So they would have to go 8-2 over the next, or 8-1. They would have to go over the next 9 games, or 9-0. I don't see that happening. I'm going to be talking about it a lot on tomorrow night's show. I also threw out there that I'm going to explain why I think the trade for Tyreek Hill was the worst thing to happen to Mike McDaniel and to Tua and this organization.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Tune in to the Dolphins show tomorrow night. Let me ask you this too, real quick, and I'll read the Bills stat line. I said at the beginning of the year I was surprised that McDaniel got an extension, that he should be on. He should probably be on the hot seat. Do you feel like he should be on the hot seat, or do you feel like he is worthy of that extension? You told me at the beginning of the year that you felt like, hey, he deserved the extension. I said I don't think so. I would be surprised that he wouldn't be more on the hot seat, especially this year, if they didn't turn it around.
Yeah, it's hard to say if they didn't turn it around when they went to back-to-back playoff appearances. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they had 2 horrible seasons. They went to the playoffs in back-to-back seasons. They were the number 1 offense last year. Top 5 offense for his first year. The problem with Mike McDaniel, I thought it was good for him to get the extension. I was surprised that they gave it to him that early. But it was nice to finally, hopefully, have some stability and some continuity with the coaching staff. That's something we haven't had in 20 plus years. So I was excited about that. But all of his warts that have shown the first 2 seasons were exposed this 3rd season when Tua was out. The fact that he doesn't stick to the running game, the fact that he doesn't make second half adjustments. Well, he's doing a little better in this year, his 3rd year. But there's still some play calling that's like iffy, and I don't understand what he's doing.
The thing of it is he's not coaching the game. He's not a situational coach. He's play calling. And you know what I mean?
Right.
You have to pay attention to the game.
And that's something.
You know what I mean? Coach the game that way. Not be just a play caller.
That's why I'm of the mindset, honestly, where I think he needs to give up play calling. He can continue, obviously, helping the offense and designing plays and stuff like that, and obviously going to help with the offensive game plan each week or whatever. But actually, in-game calling plays, I think he needs to give that up, because I think, I mentioned the fact that he goes away from the running game, even though this week he ran the ball more than he passed it. If you actually wound up not being that way, because they had to throw the ball a bunch at the end there to try to come back and win the game. But the ratio was pretty balanced today. But he's loyal to a fault. He has his certain guys. Raheem Mostert has fumbled twice, 2 weeks in a row. We were driving when Raheem Mostert fumbled. Devon Achane has shown week in and week out that he is the better running back. So why is he not starting? Why is he not your starter? You traded up in this past draft for Jalen Wright, who is averaging 5.5 yards per carry, and he averages like 3 or 4 touches, 5 touches a game. Like, that makes no sense to me.
Right, Achane running the show.
It should be Wright and Achane running the show. If you want to give Raheem Mostert some goal line opportunities, because he seems to be able to get get into the end zone. He broke the record for Dolphin for scoring touchdowns. In Dolphins history last season with 20-something touchdowns. So he can be a complimentary piece, but I don't think he should be the starting running back. He showed that again today. We got the ball at the half up 10-6, driving down the field, and he fumbles, with minimal contact too. It's not like he got blown up, but he was just lackadaisical with the ball, fumbled for the second week in a row. And that costed us big time. And the defense, you needed them to make one stop, and they couldn't stop Buffalo. They held them to 6 points in the first half, couldn't stop them not one time in the second half. So,
real quick, Josh Allen, 25 of 39, 235 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, this kid is just – Josh Allen's insane.
He is, bro, and he always puts up hella numbers against us, bro.
Yeah, and some of the plays that he was making – in the throws, like, man, I really like this kid. I really do. It sucks that he's always losing to Mahomes. It feels like, he's such a fun player to watch, and a guy I think that you want on your team. You know what I mean? Yeah. So let's get into it. Speaking of a guy I kind of always like on my team, but man, he's gonna give you some games like he gave you today, and that's none other than Jameis Winston. Chargers win 27-10. They get to 5-3. Browns fall to 2-7. Speaking of Jameis, this is Jameis Winston. So last week I gave him my dog of the week. He has 334 passing yards, 153 passer rating, 3 passing touchdowns. Today, bad Jameis, 56 completion, 55.5 passer rating, and 3 picks for Mr. Jameis Winston. Chargers, though, Justin Herbert, 18 of 27, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins, 14 for 85 and 2 touchdowns. Quentin Johnson, 4 for 118 and a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the Browns, not much to talk about. Nick Chubb, 15 for 39. Cedric Tillman did have 6 for 75 and a touchdown. Kind of saved my fantasy finally, as he was sucking for a little while. But any thoughts here, Johnny, on Chargers Browns?
No, I mean the Chargers played their type of football. They're under Jim Harbaugh, they're a running team, even though they got a big strong arm quarterback in Justin Herbert, but they're a running team. They play good defense. But Justin Herbert was making great plays. He got sacked a bunch of times because Cleveland's got one of the better defensive lines in the game. But yeah, this is what you get with Jameis Winston. 3 interceptions, like you mentioned, including hitting his 100th in his career. Yeah. So he's already got. I think he's got 101 now, or 102 with the 3 that you add today. So it's just, I mean, he is who he is. You know what I'm saying? Like you mentioned, he can have a game like he had last week where he was your dog of the week. And then the very next week, he can be the turd of the week. So it's that's just what you get with Jameis, unfortunately. But it's definitely over for Cleveland. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with Myles Garrett. There was some reports about some teams looking into that. I know they just traded somebody else to who lost their edge the other day.
So Darius Smith is being reported to being traded to Detroit.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so there was some talk about.
It's not a done deal, but it's being reported.
Right. Yeah, there was some talk about would Detroit go after trying to get Myles Garrett, but they clearly didn't want to give him up or they didn't want to pay the price that it's going to be for Myles Garrett. But
that's a lot of money too.
But Cleveland's got some good pieces on that defense, bro. If they got an opportunity to maybe give up one or two of those pieces and get some more draft capital so that they can go into the draft next year and get their quarterback of the future, because Watson tore his Achilles, so he's probably gonna miss most of next year as well. I know you still got a few more years of his contract after that, but they're probably gonna be in a prime position to get a top quarterback in this draft coming up, and I think Cleveland definitely needs to do it. Is Stefanski another one that could possibly be on the hot seat?
I don't know. He just won Coach of the Year last year, and
that don't mean shit. Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? So
but he did lead that team to the playoffs last year as well. So and twice he made the playoffs. So.
I hear you. You know what I'm saying? And my coach led my team to the playoffs 2 years back to back, and you know what I'm saying? He might get fired. So
I wouldn't put it past. I put it more on the general manager for the Deshaun Watson contract, and then they happen to play him because
you can't even blame that on the general manager, bro. That was the owner that made that decision. To give Deshaun Watson that money. So organizationally, they're gonna have to take a good look in the mirror and decide what it is that they want to do going forward. But it looks like they're gonna have a top 10 pick unless they go on some type of a run here. So they may be in prime position to get a quarterback. And for all the people that were saying this isn't going to be a good quarterback draft, like you're crazy, bro. There's at least 4 or 5 top tier quarterbacks that are going to be coming out in this draft. So if you have an opportunity to get one of them, I think you need to. And I put my team in that boat as well. If the season keeps going off the rails the way it is right now, and they have an opportunity to take a quarterback, I think they should do that.
Ooh, okay. Real quick, I can't make out the Chargers. I guess they just lose to good teams and beat the bad teams, and that's who they are. I still can't. I don't know if they're a good team or a bad team. I guess the Chargers going to Charger. They're going to win some games they shouldn't, and win. You know what I mean?
Right.
Lose some games they should.
But again, with Jim Harbaugh, they're building it the right way. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was talking about they're going to take Brock Bowers with their first pick. No, he takes an offensive lineman. He wants to solidify that offensive line to protect Justin Herbert.
The ball well,
right. Yeah. They're running the ball, so they're slowly building it. They're going to get out of some defensive players' contracts next year, like. Not so much this year. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen the rest of the season, but I would be worried about the Chargers next season. I know the Chargers are going to Charger, but Jim Harbaugh is a different dude, bro. So different I would be interested. I'm going to be interested to see what the Chargers look like next season in Jim Harbaugh's second year.
Yeah. Speaking of different dudes, I'll tell you what, I really think the Patriots got something in this Drake May.
I like this kid, man.
I know they lost today 20-17. They fall to 2-7. Titans get their second win and get to 2-6. But Drake May, man, you watch that. He throws a game-winning touchdown, and he made some nifty moves just to get this game into overtime. Now, the interception in overtime kind of cost him. But 206 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. One of those that being in overtime to kind of seal the deal. But man, there's not a whole lot. First, there's not a whole lot of talent on this damn Patriots team.
There's no talent on that offense, bro. Besides him and Stevenson.
Stink. So I don't really want to get to, I mean, there's no real reason to even read the Titan stat line. I mean, I just wanted to point out. I really think that Drake May has got somebody.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think they got their guy. I mentioned it when they drafted him. Scott, what's up to our Hall of Famer, Scott Cove? I mentioned it when they drafted him. I thought they got themselves a good one. The moment doesn't seem to be too big for him. He's accurate. He reads the field well. He's got some mobility. He ran the ball 8 times for 90-something yards today. Yeah. So he can move around.
somebody on the teammate said that's Josh Allen Jr. Like he got a little Josh Allen in him. And
yeah, I mean he's got some quickness to him, and
he's
he's got
probably
some
a little
speed.
bit more accurate at this point in his career though than Josh Allen was his rookie season.
Absolutely. I think he's better in his rookie year than Josh Allen was. Josh Allen was missing guys wide open all the time.
Yeah.
This kid, the moment doesn't seem too big for him. He's really calm in the pocket. He's got the mobility and the legs to run when he needs to run. He's got the arm. I think the Patriots hit on their quarterback. Maybe not so much this year. He's going to make those rookie mistakes like you mentioned in overtime, throwing that interception. But I think he's only going to get better going forward. And that's another situation where they sat him the first few weeks. They went with Jacoby Brissett, let him sit back and kind of watch a little bit for the first few weeks. And now he's in there and he's playing well. They're not going to win a lot of games this year, but it's not going to be because he's just going to shit the bed all the time. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing for Scott. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not thrilled about that being a Dolphin fan and being in the same division, but it is what it is. I'm happy for Scott, and that's about it. I'm happy for Scott. I'm not happy for the other Patriots fans. The hell's with them, but I'm happy for my boy Scott.
Yeah, let's continue in the theme of future fired coaches, and that's going to be Mike McCarthy as the Cowboys lose, I believe, their fourth straight game here. They fall to the Falcons 27-21, fall to 3-5. Falcons get to 6-3. They look pretty much, I think, can take over this division with the Bucks being banged up. They got the 2 wins over the Bucks as well. But Dak Prescott gets hurt in this game, doesn't come back in. He had a hamstring issue, but before he got hurt, 18-24, 133 yards, 1 touchdown. The running game still non-existent. They sent pretty much Zeke home for disciplinary reasons. 12 carries for 75 yards. CD Lamb, 8 for 47. He's banged up. Jake Ferguson, 7 for 71. You get to the Falcons here. Kirk Cousins, 19 for 24, 222 yards, 3 touchdowns. Bijan, 19 for 86. And then Darnell Mooney, 5 for 88. And Drake London, 2 for 27 and a touchdown. Ray McLeod had 3 for 28. So thoughts here on Atlanta and Dallas. I said Dallas last week. Their season's over too, Johnny.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I didn't like Dallas coming into the season. I think I have them in third. I think I had them coming in third this year, with the Giants coming in last, or I might have even had them last, and the Giants coming in third. But yeah, Dallas is just a cluster of hot garbage, to be completely honest. I'm with you, Mike McCarthy. I'm surprised he lasted this long. But you know what? This is what Jerry Jones, put together, because he insists on being the GM. He does happen to draft talent. He does pretty good with drafting his offensive linemen, but the rest of the roster construction, they never put it together well. So I'm happy for Atlanta. I was a little surprised because I didn't know how Kirk Cousins was going to come back, how he was going to look coming back off of the Achilles. He looks good. They got some players there. Bijan is finally getting all the touches that he should be getting. You mentioned all the rushes, but he had like 8 catches as well. So he's playing well. They got a nice 2-headed, backfield with Bijan and with Algiers. They got some good wide receivers. Atlanta looks for real. They got some good defensive players as well. So, with all the injuries that Tampa Bay has, we'll see what's going to happen down the road. But Atlanta looks like they're going to take the South. Yeah,
I did too. I mean, we're halfway home here. It looks like it. The Bengals win 41-24. They get to 4-5. The Raiders, we obviously know their season's over. They stink. Desmond Ridder comes in this game for Gardner Minshew, 11 for 15 for 74 yards, threw 1 touchdown. Not much stat-wise here by anybody else. Jacoby Myers had himself a game, 8 for 105. Brock Bowers, 5 for 45. Joe Burrow, 27 of 39, 251 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Remember the first 6 games of the season, the first 4 games of the season, the Bengals were 1-3. Since are now 3-1. This is their type of time. Chase Brown, 27 for 120. Mike Gesicki, your guy, 5 receptions, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase, 7 for 43. Do you think that the Bengals can turn this thing around and get to the playoffs? Like, I mean, they win next week 5-5.
I think they can because the AFC hasn't turned out to be what we thought they were going to be to start the season. So you have a bunch of teams that are right around the 500 mark. You have your franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow. You got the pieces around him with Jamar Chase.
Defense is getting a little bit better.
Yeah, the defense is getting a little better. The Brown kid seems to be a good player. You know what I'm saying? People were questioning the fact that they let Joe Mixon go, but the Brown kid has stepped up. A big game for Mike Gesicki today. They got some weapons there, and they're they're putting it together. I don't know about winning the division because that division is stacked, except for Cleveland. But I think they can go on a run here. Like I said, there's a lot of AFC teams that are right around that 500 mark. So
right now they're the 9th team at 4-5. The Colts are playing right now. Denver's 5-4, Chargers 5-3. So
that's what I'm saying. It's not like there's a bunch of 6-1, 7-1 teams. You know what I'm saying?
Got a big one Thursday night though. They play the Ravens Thursday night.
Yeah, in Cincinnati or at Baltimore?
In Baltimore.
Yeah, so I mean that's going to be a rough one there.
That's you got to have it. That's a got to have it game.
And that's a hard ask. You know what I'm saying? To go on a short week to Baltimore, and Baltimore is trying to stomp people out, bro.
Yeah, I mean, well, you win that game, you're 5-5. At 500, and you have a win over the Ravens. Now they beat you guys once. You split with the Ravens, but you lose because remember a couple weeks ago they lost to the Ravens in overtime. That crazy overtime game, 41-38. Right. It's just like, man, like. But I'm looking at their record. I'm looking at the teams. They have not beat one good fucking team. The Bengals have.
Who are you talking about? The Bengals?
Yeah, look, these are their wins. The Panthers, the Giants, the Browns, the Raiders.
Right. Yeah. Four hot garbage teams. And real quick to touch on the Raiders, it would be like the Raiders to go for to sign a Gardner Minshew and to draft a Brock Bowers when you had an opportunity to take a quarterback in the first round and start rebuilding your team. But no, instead you decide to give, Christian Wilkins, as much as I like Christian Wilkins, but you decide to give a defensive tackle the highest contract in NFL history. And you signed Gardner Minshew to be your starting quarterback. Like, what the hell are you doing? You know what I'm saying? No wonder, Devontae wanted out of there. And I was excited for Antonio Pierce getting the opportunity there. But with that owner and that management there, the Raiders are going to be garbage for a while, bro.
Yeah, and like I said, the Bengals got to have that game against the Ravens. You can't go 2 games. You can't lose 2 games to your division opponent and be 2 games below 500.
Yeah, so. I hear you on that. But like I said, in this AFC this year, I mean, they can lose this game on Thursday night and still go on a little bit of a run. And you never know. As far as winning the division, no, I don't think they can win the division, but they can sneak in as the number 7 seed or something like that if they finish off the season strong.
Yeah, we'll see. Man, the Bears lose 29-9 here. Caleb Williams, 22 of 41, 217 yards. DeAndre Swift, 16 for 51. Roma Dunze had a nice game, 5 for 104. But the Cardinals, like, it's crazy because, like, Kyler Murray's stat line's not any damn good, 13 of 20 for only 154 yards, no touchdowns. But James Conner ran all over him, 18 for 107. Didn't score a touchdown. Those were Trey McBride had a rushing touchdown in this game. Trey Benson, Mario DiMarcado each had a touchdown. Cardinals win, though. They get to 5-4. Bears fall to 4-4. This AFC West is wide open. I mean, wide open right now. And Arizona could be one of those teams that could win this thing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And I mean, I don't know who would have picked the NFC West to be this competitive.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt Eberflus is probably going to be fired. He's another coach.
I mean, it's
after this
but again, it's one of those situations we talked about it where they put some good pieces around Caleb Williams, but not on the offensive line. And Arizona absolutely went after him today, bro. That's why Kyler Murray and the offense didn't have to put up tremendous numbers, because the Chicago offense couldn't do anything against that defense. So they were all over Caleb Williams. Got some turnovers. But Kyler Murray is playing efficient football. They run the football. Again, like I mentioned, they played really good defense today.
Their coach Gannon always has them boys prepared.
Yeah, dude, they're always prepared. They always got good game plans. And that's really important. If you're well coached and you're playing good fundamental football, you got a good offensive line, and you got a quarterback that can make plays, not only with his arm but with his legs. You got a good running back. Arizona could give some people some problems, so it's gonna be interesting to see how they go. As far as Chicago's concerned, I don't know about firing the coach. Again, I don't like the way that roster was built. I like the skilled players that they put around them, but you could have invested with all the draft capital that you got. You could have invested in more offensive linemen to protect this kid, and they would probably be in a better position because you'd be able to run the ball more. You signed Swift, and you're not able to run the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I'm gonna go back to this again. It's culture and things like that. Last weekend, right? You got Dingleberry out in the Mary. He's chirping with the Commanders fans as the damn game is going on. Yeah. So you know what I mean? Like it's a lot of questions. You know what I mean? Like that's not happening with a Bill Belichick coach team. They should have called timeout to make sure their defense was set last week. Like Eberflus, I think he's probably on the hot seat and he's probably going to be fired. Scott wants to know who wins the NFC West right now. I might lean towards the Rams.
I was just about to say, if I had to pick a team now, I would go with the quarterback that I have the most faith in out of all those quarterbacks in the NFC West, and that would be Matthew Stafford.
And the coach,
right? And the coach, right? Yeah, they got the coach, they got the quarterback, they have the experience.
Yeah,
right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Puka, I don't know what's gonna happen with Puka. He got ejected for throwing a punch. He might get suspended. As a Dolphin fan who's going to the Rams, I hope he is suspended for this game coming up on Monday night. But yeah, with the experienced head coach and that quarterback, I could easily see the Rams winning that division. We'll see what happens with San Francisco. They're on their bye obviously this week. And we mentioned Arizona, how well they're playing. But if I had to put money on it right now, I would probably go with the Rams because of their quarterback and their coach.
We'll get to that game in just a minute. But we got Jags, Eagles. We kind of talked about this game at the beginning. Trevor Lawrence had a chance here, throws a bad interception. Sirianni, man, he's going to end up costing his team in big spots and big games for just stupid play calling. And when you should kick a field goal to go up by 8, instead you want to do something dumb, or you don't do the tush push and you throw the ball, you go for it. Like there's going to be a time where he's going to do something stupid and it's going to cost his team in a big game. I feel like, but they win today to get to 28 to 23 over the Jaguars. Doug Peterson probably he's on his way out. I would think. No running game for the Jaguars. ETN 3 or 24, 8 for 22 for Tank Bigsby. Brian Thomas did catch. He only had 2 for 22. No touchdowns and then the Eagles. I mean, Saquon Barkley is the engine that makes this team go. 27, 159 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 highlight of doing a leap backwards over a guy.
Yeah, that was a crazy play, bro.
If you haven't seen it, Devontae Smith had a hell of a catch. If that catch was on primetime television, everybody would have been going crazy over that catch for his touchdown, 4 for 87 and touchdown, which is pretty much the game winner. Barkley also caught 1 for a touchdown. The Eagles get to 6-2. Johnny, we kind of already talked about how shit the Jags are. Any thoughts on here in the Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you as far as Sirianni, and it's almost like, shout out to Howie Roseman and his roster construction, because I think that's what bails out Sirianni's, foolishness and his bad calling is the amount of talent that is on that Philadelphia Eagles squad, bro. Like there is just talent at every level on offense. Yeah, every level on the defense has hella talent. Jalen Hurts, they signed Saquon Barkley. You got Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. You got some good tight ends. Like that team is just so well constructed that it can, it can make up for some idiot, decisions that the head coach makes, which I think has been saving his job, to be quite honest. You know what I'm saying? Because he's made some stupid mistakes. I got to see that Devontae Smith touchdown live. That was a hell of a catch. It was a beautiful catch. That Saquon play is a ridiculous video game type play. But you know what I'm saying? Nah, that the Eagle team, if he doesn't ruin it for them, Sirianni, I think the Eagles are going to be tough. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait till they play Washington, so that I can see those two teams go at each other. But it's definitely one or the other. The other two teams in that division are absolute dog shit in Dallas and the Giants. So, but Jacksonville had an opportunity there at the end, and Trevor Lawrence just with one of the worst throws. And again, but as the coach, like, why do you have the third string running back in that game in that position? You know what I'm saying? You have one of the best receiving running backs in Travis Etienne, and he's not in the game there at the end. So I don't understand what's going on there in Jacksonville. But I'm with you as far as Doug Peterson and possibly being on the hot seat. And Trevor Lawrence has just been bad, bro. Yeah,
Garrett Wilson or Devontae Smith better catch. I might see the Wilson catch just better, man. I
didn't see the Wilson catch live. I actually saw the Devontae catch live, and that was pretty, bro. That was a nice catch. Yeah, they're both incredible catches. Two really good young wide receivers. That's hard to say. I mean, I guess you're splitting hairs there with that one. It was two incredible catches by two good young wide receivers.
Yeah, real quick, we'll finish up the NFC West here. You got Rams win 26-20 in overtime, 298 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. The Seahawks really struggled in the red zone. Like, they had 2 turnovers in the red zone. In overtime, got in the red zone, went for it on 4th down, didn't get it. Cooper Kupp, 11 for 104 yards. Demarcus Robinson, 6 for 94, 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. You mentioned it. Not Tutu Atwell, but Puka Nacua ejected in this game. Geno Smith, 21 of 34, 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. Kenneth Walker, 25 of 83. I would have gave my dog of the week if the Seahawks would have won to Jackson Smith and Najigba. 7 for 180 and 2 touchdowns. I swear every time they went to that game, he was making some sort of hell of a catch or some sort of hell of a play. Unfortunately, his day is spoiled with the loss as Seattle loses 26-20. Rams get to 4-4. Seattle falls to 4-5. This Rams team, like I just said, I think that they could maybe win this division with the 49ers all banged up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. You know what I'm saying? We just touched on it before. I'm with you with the Rams. We were both watching that overtime part of that game. That was just a beautiful throw by Matthew Stafford to win the game there. And again, another opportunity where you're driving down the field, you decide to go for it on 4th down in the red zone when you could at least kick the field goal and put some kind of pressure on the Rams. You know what I'm saying? But you gave them all the momentum with them getting that stop and that turnover on downs. Geno Smith, I know he had 3 touchdowns, but he had 3 horrible interceptions, including 2 in the red zone, 1 for a pick 6 for 103 yards. And when you look at the play, you look at the play on both of those interceptions, and shout out to Cam Kitchens from the U, the rookie safety for the Rams, who returned, that one 103 yards. Like, if you look at those plays, like, where the hell is he? Like, who the hell is he throwing the ball to? Like, there isn't even a Seattle guy like close to those balls. So, Geno Smith Geno Smith is definitely in contention for being turd of the week with the performance that he had. I know he had 3 touchdowns and took him to overtime, but he cost that team the game today.
Yeah. And really, it's time for Seattle to say, we all know Geno's not our guy. Like, that's not the guy that's going to lead you to the promised land.
I'm with you on that one. I was banging the table that I thought they should have taken a quarterback this last draft, and they decided not to. I mean, I think they took somebody in like the 2nd or 3rd round or whatever.
They do got Sam Howell as the backup. So
maybe they're they're looking to next year or whatever for a younger quarterback. But yeah, those were just 2 horrible interceptions, man.
Speaking of, Sam Darnold might be becoming turd of the week. He's already got 2 turnovers already, a strip sack here and an interception. Man. Jared Goff, let's get to my Packers Lions here. The Packers shut them out in the second, or the Lions only scored 1 touchdown in the second half, but this game after the interception, right before the halftime, when Green Bay was down 7, I knew that this game was over when the pick 6 happened. Love throws a bad interception. The game was wet and rainy. 18 of 22, 145 yards, 1 touchdown. Montgomery ran all over us, 17 for 73. Jahmyr Gibbs, 11 for 65 and a touchdown. St. Brown, 7 for 56 and a touchdown. The Packers offense did absolutely jack squat. Josh Jacobs had a nice game. Obviously got away from the running when we were down, 13 for 95. Jaden Reed had 5, 113. But the Lions, man, like they looked like the team that was stronger, more prepared to play in the rain, in the cold than the Packers. But the Lions look like they're the real deal. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. Like they are a Super Bowl caliber type team, man. That's
I'm with you on that one. I mean, we both picked Green Bay to win this game. And honestly, I went with it partly because of the comment that you made this morning. Not that that's why I made the pick. I had already made the pick already, but it was because of the fact that Jared Goff doesn't usually play well outside, and we knew that the weather was going to be rainy and ugly and bad, but we didn't think about the fact that that's not how Detroit plays. Detroit runs the ball. They play good defense. They got one of the best offensive lines in football. So he only threw the ball 22 times. You know what I'm saying? So he was taking what the defense was giving him. They were running the ball well. They made that huge play on defense with the pick 6 on Jordan Love. They were the better, more physical team today. And again, they built it right. You know what I'm saying? We were talking about organizations and how they built it. They built it from inside out. Their offensive and defensive lines are some of the best units in all of football. They got some really good skill players, and they got a quarterback. They got a quarterback who's a good quarterback. Is he the greatest quarterback? No, but he's a good quarterback. He runs this offense well. He fits this team well. He runs this offense very well. He doesn't make too many mistakes. So they got the right formula there in Detroit, man. So they look legit. They look legit to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, man.
Both teams got to feel happy about that trade. The Lions getting Goff and the picks and everything. And obviously the Rams won the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. So it was one of those deals where both teams won the trade.
Absolutely. The Rams, come away with a championship, so they got the ultimate prize there. And the Detroit Lions got set up with all those picks. They hit on the majority of those picks. And they set themselves up to be competitive for the next several years. So the Detroit Lions are in a good spot. Shout out to Dan Campbell, former Miami Dolphin. I'm happy for him. Everybody made fun of him with the whole biting kneecaps and all that stuff, but he's got that team with that mentality that we are going to fight you to the very end. We're going to be tougher than you. We're going to be more physical than you. And they're proving it every week out on the field. So Detroit right now would be my pick to be, the best team in the NFC, no doubt.
Same. Real quick before we get into our dogs and turds, we are halfway through the season, Johnny. Give me your 3 biggest disappointments and your 3 biggest surprises so far.
My three biggest disappointments. Well, I mean, I got to put my Dolphins there as one of the biggest disappointments. Honestly, I'm gonna say Jacksonville's a big disappointment. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the third year under Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence just got that big contract. I was hyping him up last year. He was my sleeper for MVP, and he completely shit the bed, Trevor Lawrence. So I would say Jacksonville is another one. I guess my third one would probably be. I mean, it's hard to think of another third disappointment. There's a bunch of disappointments, but there's so many mediocre teams right now. I mean, I guess Cincinnati's starting to turn it around, but the start that they got off to. I mean, I guess the 49ers would be a good surprise, but they've got hella injuries going on in San Francisco. Damn, I'm trying to look to see who would be a massive disappointment.
Here's my disappointments. The Browns, I picked them to win the division, so they've been a big fat disappointment.
I mean, you know what? One that's slightly disappointing, even though they're winning games, is Houston. Houston has so much hype behind them and what they were going to do this year, and they've been all right. You know what I'm saying?
They're not great. Yeah,
they're not great, so they're not. You know what I'm saying? So they could be there. But yeah, there's plenty of disappointment to be spread around the whole league. To be quite honest,
I think the Browns, the Dolphins, the Jets, like the Jets. You know what I mean? Like those three, I would include the Texans maybe in there as well. Who's your three biggest surprises?
Well, I mean, I got to give Washington the nod there.
They're the number one. They got to be the biggest surprise, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. And even though I know that they got completely stomped out today by the Baltimore Ravens, but I'm gonna give Denver some love. You know what I'm saying? They're 5-4 now, or 5-3 after that loss, so they've got a winning record. They've actually played pretty good football. And I guess my third one, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Arizona and what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? They've got some good wins this year. They're coming off a bit of a either 2 or 3 in a row now that they've won.
The Vikings.
The Vikings is another good one. I wasn't expecting the Vikings to be this good. Atlanta with Kirk Cousins. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're off to a nice run right now in Atlanta. 6-2 or something like that. So. But there's, except for Kansas City, and it's more because of Patrick Mahomes, because it's not even like they've been completely dominating people.
No,
they just find ways to win games. They got a hell of a defense that's playing well, and you got number 15. So if you have that, you always have a chance to win. But it's not like they've been dominant, but they just keep winning every week. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But they're. Detroit is winning games, but there's not like that team that's like, oh my God, that team is just so much better than every other team in the league. Like, I don't think we have that this year. Again, you're going to give Kansas City their love because they're the defending 2-time champs and they got Patrick Mahomes or whatever, but I think it's pretty wide open, which is why when you ask me about Cincinnati, I still think they can go on a run because it's not like there's 3 teams in the AFC that only got 1 loss, and there's 3 or 4 teams in the NFC that only got 1 loss. Like, every team has 2 or 3 losses. So I think if you go on a little bit of a run, you're right back in it, man.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into our turd of the week. Who's your turd of the week?
I'm going right back down to Jacksonville, and I'm giving my turd of the week to none other than Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? 16 of 31, 169 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He did rush for 2 touchdowns, but that last interception in the end zone with a chance to win the game, he literally threw it up for grabs to his third-string running back. Didn't even really give him a chance to make a play on the ball. Just a complete bust. I'm not calling him a bust overall, but if you want to compare him to other quarterbacks that have been given the bust label right away, for all the hype that he was getting coming out of Clemson, he has not lived up to it at all. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to call him a complete bust yet, but he definitely played like dog shit today. So Trevor Lawrence is my turd of the week.
Yeah, my turd of the week is none other than the New Orleans Saints and Dennis Allen, the head coach. I mean, I read it. I'll read the stat off again here. The history-making New Orleans Saints. So the Saints outgained the Panthers 150 yards, ran for 150 yards, and won the turnover battle. And over the 20 years, that teams have gone 275-0 with that formula. And the Saints now make it 275-1. And you lose to the one-win crappy Carolina Panthers. The New Orleans Saints are my turd of the week. More importantly, their head coach, Dennis Allen.
Yeah, when you make that kind of history, you're definitely deserving of an award.
Absolutely.
And in this case, the award is the turd of the week. So congratulations to the New Orleans Saints and Dennis Allen. Well deserved, right there.
Who is your dog of the week?
There were a few different candidates in there. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
18 to 24, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran the ball 13 times. He actually ran the ball for more than 66 yards, but he took 3 knees at the end that took some yardage away from him, and he scored a rushing touchdown as well. We mentioned the catch by Devontae Smith, but that throw was a beautiful throw there. So I'm going. My dog of the week is Jalen Hurts. I've kind of put him on blast a little bit because what I'm saying, I thought he was I thought he benefited from all the talent around him, but he's been playing well, and I think he stepped it up and had a really good game today. So
yeah, I probably would have gave it to Saquon in that game.
I would have if he wouldn't have fumbled there at the end to give Jacksonville life.
Yeah.
So
which really wasn't a fumble. So, like, he was tripped and went down. And that was even on the review. I was like, how the fuck but nonetheless.
Yeah.
My dog of the week is none other than my guy, Joey Burrow, baby. 27 to 39, 250 yards, 251 yards, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 touchdowns today. We like to have a saying, Bodkins, Burrow, Bengals, baby. And Joey B gets my dog of the week with this massive 5 touchdown performance today.
Yeah, that was definitely well deserved. I had a feeling you were leaning that way. That's why I left him alone. Because I said there were another one, good honorable mention to Lamar Jackson, 16 of 19, 280 and 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. That Baltimore Ravens offense looks scary as hell. The fact that he can extend plays and then you have all that speed out there with Zay Flowers.
Over that game, huh? The
Ravens. you have Zay Flowers and all those speedy guys out there. They just made the trade for Johnson, and then to top it all off, you got none other than King Henry in the backfield. So after you bomb teams, you're able to stomp them out with Derrick Henry. And trust me when I tell you that there were people making business decisions there at the end of that game against Derrick Henry. And honestly, I don't blame some of them.
That's the same guy coming at you. He's one of one.
Yeah, he is, man. And we talked about it when he signed with Baltimore that was going to be scary, and that offense looks pretty badass, bro.
Jeremy, I saw your comment. It said, "How about the Lions?" We just talked about them. I think they're the best team in the NFC. I mean, they beat the Packers.
Absolutely.
What else do you want me to say? They're the best team.
We just talked about it, Jeremy. I'm with Nick. There. I think they're the best team in the NFC. I love the way they built that team. They're going to be a tough out for anybody, to be quite honest.
Yeah. So Craig says, Dog mentions Lamar, 4th perfect passer rating, MCDC and the Lions. Yeah, I missed the days when the Lions came to Lambeau and lost. They've won 3 straight there, and they look like the team that plays outside and the more physical team off team. So. They coach them up. Yeah, let's pile it on. Craig, go worry about the damn Bears. We'll see you in 2 weeks after our bye week. So,
you good, Jeremy, bro.
You're good. Hope all is well. Nonetheless, folks, this has been a great episode of the Bodkins Show. Remember, if you missed this morning's episode, the morning dump, the weekly dump, please check that out. A lot of fun. Me and Johnny put that out this morning. So if you got some time on your hand, want to hear about baseball, a little pop culture and things like that, have a few laughs, tune into that as well. Other than that, folks, Johnny, you got any last things before we get out of here?
Yeah, just want to let the people know the Dolphin Chronicles on the Kendall Sports Network. Check it out. We're talking all things Miami Dolphin. Me, Byron, and Alex will discuss the horrible loss today to the Buffalo Bills. We're going to talk about whether or not there should be some trades made and if the Dolphins should just get rid of everybody. And like I mentioned earlier, I am going to explain why I believe that the Tyreek Hill trade was the worst thing that the Dolphins could have done.
All right. Well, other than that, folks, we'll be back next Sunday at 7 o'clock Central, 8 Eastern. We'll talk about Week 10. So, man, we are moving right along in the NFL. So, be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. We'll see you then.
Peace.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.